boys and girls, welcome to my channel. I'm For Classic and welcome to BenchART. So for today what I do have needed is Before We Live, a game developed by Balancing Monkey Games, which is a developer that I don't really know about. So yeah, it's an indie developer and it is using Unity engine to power up their game. So this game it is pretty much a city builder with this hexagon style of gameplay where it is not really violent. But first let's jump to the settings, which is why you are here for. I'm playing the game with 1080p with the absolutely maximum settings, and this is the settings that you need to use if you want to be over 60 frames per second with 1080p. Yeah, just use maximum settings. But first let's take a look at the requirements. So these guys recommend a Ryzen, alright, CPU for the 3400X, which is, well, I don't really know this CPU, 8 gigs of RAM, and a GTX 970 or an AMD Radeon RX 590. So we are above the recommended requirements, and as you can see with 1080p maximum settings, I was able to get an average of 95 frames per second and minimums of 80, so it was a perfect smooth 60 frames per second or above. At 1440p, well, it wasn't that smooth, there were drops below 60 frames per second, so if you use median settings, you get back your average to 100 frames per second and an experience above 60, but if you decide to go with 4K using median settings, you get an average of 53 frames per second and 1% of 49. So whatever the settings you go for with this game, it will be always playable, but my objective in here, despite it is not really mandatory for this type of game, it was to stick above 60 frames per second, and so I do think that 1080p using maximum settings it is the way to go, because when you reduce the median settings you lose a lot of visuals like this beautiful volumetric lighting effect. It is simply amazing. This game features day and night cycle and all the planets are just rounds, so for planets, for flat planet earthers, believers, probably I wouldn't really recommend this game to you because all the planets are round, alright? And don't worry, I don't believe on that crap of flat earths, alright? So let's jump on. Alright, proceeding. This game it is mostly about city building. Well, in fact it is only city building, but you can conquer, I wouldn't say conquer, but I would say discover other planets, and it is essential for you to do that because you are going to waste all the resources from this planet, so you need to move on to another planet and build an entire solar system. So it is a full city builder and you don't need to conquer other planets because there is pretty much no fights in this game. There are still some of them, but honestly most of the game, I mean 90% of the game, it will be only you city building your own dream city, of course not in a realistic way, but in this type of environment with a lot of challenges with the resources and, you know, with overpopulation. So you know the drill if you play city builders, the challenges that you need to overcome. It is pretty much the same. The difference is right now in this game you can take a much more chilly approach because there is no enemies for most of the time, and so you can be just relaxed, evolving your own planets, and that's why this game it is actually very good. What is not very good about this game, it is for now it is an exclusive of Epic Store, so I know that most of the people don't care about Epic Store, and this might be not a good reason to get the game, unfortunately, but it is actually very cheap, amazing. So it costs $17.99, so it's not an expensive game. Honestly, I don't think that it would be, the money would be the reason for not buying the game. It's just for most of the time people don't care about Epic Store and don't want to get games from there. So who knows, one day it will be free, but for now if you want to get the game you need to pay. For now the game score it is around 70 on Metacritic. User scores are giving 7.1, so the user score it is pretty much acceptable, but most of the people are just, yeah, the game was fine and all, but it was just that. People somehow it were expecting much more of the game, but they say that it wasn't really that special game like City Skylines or anything like it when you have a full load of possibilities. No, it is not really that big city builder, but it is without a doubt a very interesting city builder, and for 17.99 I think it's a nice price to get the game. Alright, so guys, I think that's all that I want to talk about the game. Hope you keep enjoying the rest of the video, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.